Hello, everyone. Very nice to have you join this online webinar, which we prepared for teachers and inclusion in education educators on how to work with films on inclusion. It is organized by the British Council in cooperation with the Athens International Children's Film Festival in the frame of the Erasmus Plus funded in-school program. This is in cooperation with 7 partner organizations across Europe, among them Asamblea Cooperación por la Paz, which is in Spain, SCODEC, Scottish Development Education Centre in Scotland, Expedition Inside Culture in Poland, the Lifelong Learning Platform in Belgium, OBESO, which is the Student Unions Association in Europe, also based in Belgium, and the Institute of Education Policy in Greece. The project aims to embed inclusive education methodologies for schools around Europe, and it is trying to favor the emergence of a community of inclusive educators made of school leaders, teachers, and students. It's been 1 year and 2 months that we're running the project. We've got 65 associate organizations and schools cooperating with us, and so far we have 500 trainers, teachers, headmasters, and school advisors trained in the methodology of the project, and 2,000 students reached directly. This is you can find more information on our website, which is inclusiveschools.net. And you can also find very valuable education material on how to work on inclusion in your schools. So Inclusion Week, what is Inclusion Week? It is a campaign that we thought to launch in the midst of these challenging times for every school community in Europe. It was initially thought to take place face-to-face in schools by facilitating the workshops and projects with teachers and students in every school. But we decided to, of course, shift it online by giving valuable tools on how to work with students in such circumstances currently. So in cooperation with the Athens Children Film Festival, we're organizing these webinars, and they have selected the films and they have prepared the educational kit that will be sent to you after the webinar. Indeed, on the technical side of things, this is going to last for an hour and a half. We will be finished by 6:30 Central European time, which means 7:30 for Greece and 5:30 for the UK. And whenever you'd like to contribute with a comment or to ask something, please raise your hand. There will be interactive, let's say, sessions within the presentation. So be our guest and raise your hands. While talking, as the presenter, which is who is Kalliopi Haralambous from the Athens Children Film Festival, and Katia Papaspiliopoulos, they will. It would be advisable, or we would encourage you to have your camera on, so that they can see you as well, and we can make it more proximate, let's say, despite the conditions. So thank you all. I am Irini Careta. I am the project manager of the project and working for the British Council on EU projects. And I will pass the word to Kalliopi, who is the director of the Athens Children Film Festival. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on this session. We at the Athens International Children's Film Festival, we select international films from dozens of countries, and we're dedicated to children, the families, students, educators, and of course, film lovers. We every year we reach over 7,000 students during our school screenings, and our programmers, they pick whatever is new, the best new animation and live action films from across the globe for ages 3 to 18. Our main goal is to create a community of educators, parents, and students who are going to be actively involved into the film experience. And when it comes to film education, our job is to share the media literacy tools and make them accessible in the classroom so that young people become equipped to analyze and critically engage with media. And of course, our job is to support educators to strengthen the classroom learning. Why we focus so much on film education? We as a festival, we focus so much on film education. Why talk about why we use film education to talk about inclusion? Let me take a step back and explain a little bit about the framework of the film education. I find this table that you will see on the screen, on your screen, very helpful. It has been a group of 25 academics, film educators, and practitioners, led by the BFI, created this framework that you see on your screens in order to support film educators across Europe in designing and managing and also evaluating film education programs. As you may see, there are 3 dimensions when it comes to film education: the critical, the cultural, and the creative. Today, we're going to focus on the critical. Let me just give you share with you a few words for each dimension. So when we talk about the critical, we mean comprehension of films. Being critical means being active, being an active viewer. We communicate with a filmmaker, we communicate with a group. When it comes to cultural, the idea is to develop film culture. We want to encourage children and students to develop the ability of choosing and comparing films. Each film helps us learn a little bit more about our culture, our identity, our history, but also other cultures and other identities, other histories. And the creative, which is a very important aspect, of course, is to make films and practice. And making a film is always the best way to fully understand the form and the process. As I said already, we're going to focus on the critical dimension. What is critical awareness, and why? What do our students learn with film education? They learn to express themselves. They learn to discuss emotional reactions. They learn to ask questions or to support their opinions, their ideas. They also identify with the themes and whatever is happening during the film. They distinguish between different genres, different cinematic techniques, and also they distinguish between reality and fiction, especially in a time like this when media and visual media is all around them. Going further, I would like to share with you the idea and why, as a festival, we focus on short films. Of course, practical reasons. They're short and it's easier to screen them. It takes less time. Nevertheless, they are complete narratives. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And of course, short films are usually unknown. The short films are known to our students. Most probably, they haven't seen the titles that we are going to screen, that we usually screen for them. And they can include all themes and ideas and cinematic techniques, pretty much like feature films. So we find them very useful when working with film education. Before we start the screening, I would like to share 2 tips. Always keep in mind before you start your film analysis session, keep in mind that form and content are completely linked together and cannot be separated. And also, the second tip is try to structure your session in a way that there's a before, a during, and an after. Before the screening, share information and create an introduction about the film, the filmmaker, the genre, the type of film. During the screening, If you have the time and if it's possible, allow several screenings. Work with them with specific excerpts from the film. And also after the film, you can work and practice on practical activities like the ones we're going to practice today, in groups or in pairs or with the whole classroom. So I will pass the word to Ms. Katia Papaspiliopoulos, who's the director of our educational programs at the Athens International Children's Film Festival, and she's going to give you the introduction of the film that we're going to watch.
Thank you, Calliope. Hello, everybody. We'll watch the film, but before we will start our film session talking about before watching the film. So the film that we are going to watch, the title is Hello, Salaam. The country is from the Netherlands. 2017, 15 minutes. It's a documentary. The director is Kim Brandt. We have various languages, and we have a small plot that you can read and the themes. So I leave you a minute to read it, and after you may watch the film now. We will send you the link to watch the film, and the film is 15 minutes, so we'll be back in this webinar in 17 minutes. Okay?
So we can continue with the presentation. Okay. Thank you, Katia.
I hope that everyone enjoyed the film. We'll start now the film analysis session. We'll have to do this. We'll have a simulation of a classroom. I will be the teacher, and for change, you will be the students. So let's start. We start first talking about the two categories of cinema, of work of arts, of cinema. We have the narrative cinema or fiction. The story is created by the storyteller and includes all elements of a work of fiction. And we have, on the other hand, documentaries that are a narrativization of moments from the real lives of persons. So here, you know, everyone knows that we have a documentary which presents an event from the lives of two children from Holland. So let's put together now as much information as we can have about those two children. You will work, but I will make the start. I can say, for example, that they come from Holland and that they are not brothers. Does someone want to say something? Some information about them?
So we have Teren.
Okay.
Please, Teren, you can tell us. Yes, Teren.
They seem privileged, and
Yes.
they are going to schools. They have normalized lives, for example.
Yes, thank you. Someone else? I can say that, for example, Seal, one of the two children, wants to become a policeman.
They have caring, engaged, and possibly middle-class parent or parents who have been to the camp before.
Thank
Their
you.
mothers, yes, they're doing voluntary work at the camp.
They're well kept, they're well dressed, they look looked after, they look well fed.
Okay.
They have some prejudices. They think that in the camp they will treat them bad, like what kids do. So,
but it's not so much. You are already trying to analyze what they're feeling or what they want to, how they feel in the camp. I was just asking about practical information. Do we have other practical information about them?
okay, they are blonde.
Okay.
I mean, physical definition of them.
Okay, so in fact, we don't learn so much about them. We don't know many things about them. So what is this documentary about? Is it about those two boys, or is it something else? What is the main idea or thesis of the filmmaker? What does she want to show in this film, the director?
I think it's about the process of the formation of friendship.
Because there is a difference between what he shows and he follows those two boys, but what is the theme? Maybe to help us, we can focus on the beginning of the film. Do you remember the first scene is with the opening titles take place in the airport during their departure. After, we have this photo of the scene. We see the two kids at bedtime. They are talking about their worries. And they say, the one is saying, I wonder what the kids there will be like and if we'll make friends. And the other one, I think that first they will play trick on us. That's what kids are like. After, we are in the airplane. Probably they're coming from Athens, they go to Lesbos. They're looking out the window and the filmmaker chooses to give us some direct information or exposition, as we call it. It's the only moment of exposition in the entire documentary. And she's writing a text on the screen. Syl and Merlin were told stories about the refugees in Lesbos by their mothers. They now want to see it from themselves and meet the children on the camp. What is she saying about the main theme of this documentary?
First, when I saw in the beginning of the documentary, I thought they were going to camp like in the summertime with their friends, with their own friends. And then with these titles that the director puts, we understand that the documentary will show from the eyes of the kids that they want to see. So I think it's focus on the kids' perspective. No, I mean it connects with the talk that they are having. I mean, the privileged kids will travel to a refugee camp and they are worried. You know, it sounds like oxymoron, no? Why they have to be worried, no? But at the end, they are also kids and they have their own worries, like maybe they will be excluded, they will be different from them. And I think it gives this double camera, the double focus on the documentary.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. Thank you. The main theme, it's about the meeting, the encounter between those kids that choose to go within their holidays in a camp, in a refugee camp. And it's their encounter with the children of the camp. If we are talking about the word encounter, the etymology of the word is from the Latin in contra, meaning in, and against, meaning meeting as an adversary. That reveals our framework for discussing two different entities meeting. While the aspect of confrontation has faded somewhat from the contemporary meaning of this word, it remains fitting for the particularly difficult encounter of this film, in the sense of a union and finding a common ground between such different entities, and with those two entities and different children. The filmmaker wants to explore this encounter between the two children and the children of the camp. The camera follows the two children, but mainly tries to document the stages of this encounter. So now, to follow this idea of this encounter as a main theme, Can you tell or write down, but you can tell it, what the kid from Holland and the kid from the camp have in common and what their differences are?
Okay, hello. They have the same age. They like the same things. They eat the biscuits. I guess they like to play and to see from the ball somewhere. I think that's pretty much what the film shows. You can make more deductions, but that's what comes to mind now.
Thanks, Alexis. Anyone else?
I'm also reading Ben's comments. He says what they have in common is play, hunger, home, friends. And Athena also wrote they have friends.
They have friends.
So, yes.
Okay, so friends is, let's see, I tried to gather as much information as I could watching the film. So differences, of course, the country, the language, the taste for sugar, their home, school, life in the camp, and the common ground, you said it, ages, understanding of English, the taste for tea and biscuits, playing with snowball fights, but also rock, paper, scissors, what they want to do when they grow up. They have a very interesting discussion and it's a common ground. Love from their homes, love for their friends, you said it, and also feelings and friendship, you said it. So we can see with this small exercise that people can have differences, but they always have more in common, even if it's not that obvious at first. So now we can have an activity that is very different in the classroom, but we will try to do it here. You will take a piece of paper, as I do now, and you will write the word yes. I will read some statements. Each time you consider that the statement applies to you, that you feel that you can identify, you will show the yes paper. Okay? So, are you ready?
Yeah.
I have long hair. I like chocolate. I live or I have lived in a city. I like to dance.
Oh, yes.
I feel or I have felt lonely. I have a pet. I am in love.
I'm jealous.
Me too. I believe in God. I have been hurt by a friend. Now, does someone want to take my place for a minute, only for a minute, and make his own statement? Who wants to do it?
Anyone to raise hands? Anyone who wants to take Katja's place in stating something, like make a statement for the others to interact with, to identify or not? Anyone? No questions come in mind? Ben. Ben, please.
I am enjoying lockdown.
No, not
yes
anymore.
And no. Not anymore. Very good one. There are some people that do. Apparently.
Someone else? Oh.
Anyone else would like to? Yep.
I have missed my friends during lockdown.
Yes. And I have one. I have watched many films during lockdown. Not that many.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get back to the circle. Can you tell me now how did you feel doing this exercise?
I felt like I know a little bit about some of the people in this group.
Yes. And we feel that we are becoming a group. And
someone else has to say something as well.
Yes.
Yes. Sylvie?
Yes. It's me. Yes. I felt that we have some things in common.
Mm-hmm. So this activity encourages a discussion on whether society tries to put us in boxes and under labels. And sometimes we are very, we feel weird in this exercise because that categorization tells us that our differences should divide us into groups of us and them, ignoring the important thing that we have what we have in common. So, of course, this exercise you will see in the educational kit how to do it in the classroom, like step in or step out of a circle. And it must take place in silence and with respect to everyone inside and outside the circle. And of course, you will choose the statements depending on your student and on what you want to work on. So now, let's talk about a different subject and a very important one for this film. It's what is a refugee? This documentary is filmed in 2018 at a refugee camp in Lesbos, a Greek island of the coast of Turkey. It's you can see it maybe in the map. Since 2015, over 1 million of people arrived on several Greek islands, and the main reason is that the eastern maritime borders of Greece are also the borders of Europe. So we have to talk about what is a refugee. Why do these children live with their family in a refugee camp? Does someone want to answer to this question of another question of the list you can see on the presentation?
We have Ben's, let's say, comment that refugees are forced to leave their homes for reasons beyond their control and to escape danger. But I would, Alkisti, we have, please tell us.
They come from Afghanistan. They come from Syria.
Yes.
They had stayed in other countries on their way to Greece. They had stayed in Iran, a lot of Afghanistan. They came from Turkey to Greece through the sea by boats. What else? The living conditions seem to be difficult, not so much at the time, but not great. They were cold and crowded in the places.
Thank you, Alkiste. We also have Athena saying that their country is at war. Their origin countries are at war, the time being.
Of course, to collect all this information by asking questions to your students can lead to a discussion about people who leave their country to look for a better life or to escape danger. Now, let's do another activity linked to the refugees. So we have this final scene of the film with the group of the children of the camp and the two boys. They are a group all together. We have not learned much about each person in particular, but we learn a lot about their encounter, as I said before, with each other and their shared experiences. So now I want you to imagine a story about one of the children that Seal and Marilyn met at the camp, providing information about that child's life. So let's choose one of the children. We can choose, for example, Hamid. Do you see him on the photo? Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
I will ask you some question about him because we have to try to imagine his life story. How old is he?
So we have, well, Ben and Sylvie saying the same thing, 11.
11, okay.
Yes.
So I'm Hamid, I'm 11 years old. Country of origin?
So 11. Country of origin? Would anyone?
I come from Syria.
I come from Syria. How is my family? How many members?
I have 2 sisters and 3 brothers. Sylvie says 6. Ben says 6. Athena says 8.
Okay. How did he come? How did he come in Greece? How was his journey to Greece?
By boat, Sylvie says.
Okay. But by boat from where?
On a boat from Turkey. Ben.
So first,
my family fled to from Syria to Turkey, and then we reached the Turkish coastline, and we came to Lesbos by boat.
And maybe I stayed on a refugee camp in Turkey for I don't know, 6 months before being able to cross the border by boat to come to Greece. Okay, and now what is he and his family, where did they want to go? Because usually they don't want to stay in Greece. Greece is the door to Europe, so they want to go in another country.
Sylvie writes to Germany.
To Germany, okay. Does he have any relatives in Germany?
His uncle.
Yeah. Right.
So?
Yes. My father's brother, my uncle is there, so we want to join my father's family in Germany.
So, and I haven't seen my father in, I don't know, 2 years, for example. Okay. Does someone else want to add something about Hamid's life?
We've got some extra comments from Athena saying that probably a family member, a brother, perhaps an older brother could be in Germany already. He's been hungry from time to time, Sylvie says.
So I'm thinking that I would like to say that for me, if we need to speak in the first person,
Yes.
for us, life is in the camp is difficult, and I would like to go to Europe as soon as possible, and go to school there, and try to have a normal life.
Mhm.
Sylvie says he wants to be a doctor. Athena says that his dream is to go back to his country or to learn playing the guitar, Olivia says.
Great. We have a lot of things. I can see now the life story of Hamid a little. So the goal here is to make the difficulties of refugees real and personal, and grasp an idea of how they live. That's why it's very important to do it in the first person, and to have someone, a photo of someone living. Now we are going to talk a little about empathy and this very important human emotion. To help us, I want to draw your attention to these two scenes, and I would like you to discuss what is taking place there. What do our two protagonists see, and what are they thinking about in the first image?
Yes, in the first image, I remember in the movie it was like shock. No, first they were not understanding what was it,
Exactly.
and more than the jackets, they were more focused on the boat, that they were like too many people on it. So I remember the feeling more than other thing was like shock.
So they realize something there. They realize the life of their friends.
I think it becomes also very obvious. It becomes visual. Like maybe they've heard stories from their parents or from their moms, but seeing those life jackets and those boats, I think it becomes more real.
Of course, and it's symbols of this incredible thing, and it's really a shock. After they're going back to the camp, it's the second image, and then what are they talking about? But it's after this shock. And
Sylvie makes a nice point about how these are symbols of life and death. Thanks, Sylvie. So what are they talking about in the second image? Anyone want to...
Do you remember? What are they talking about?
Olivia wants to talk. Thanks, Olivia. You can...
Yes. They are reflecting the discussion they had previously with the other guys about how to lose your house, and they're wondering how they will feeling if they were in their position on their feet. So this was about.
Yes.
Anyone else? Nope. Katja, please.
So I think answered before to the third question. How are these two scenes connected? They realize something. They see the symbols of this incredible journey their friends were passing through, and after this shock, they're completely into their shoes. They try to be at their place and to feel what they are feeling.
Do they also at some point, I think, if I remember correctly, they're trying to think of ways to help them? Do I remember that correctly?
Yes, and also they are talking about the incredible absurdity this system, because they are saying, but they don't have a home. But if they are leaving the camp, they won't have any money to buy a new home. So it's with their child mind, they are trying to find solutions for them. So they are completely in their place. And it's exactly what empathy is. Empathy is the capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from within the frame of reference, or the ability to understand and share another's emotional state or context by stepping into someone else's shoes. So let's do an activity called In Their Shoes. Let's be in the shoes of someone. I have to remember you that we are simulating the activity, and now again you are 10 years old. So you can close your eyes and imagine a typical day in your life, an everyday, in your everyday life. You can answer, for example, what time do you wake up? What are you having for breakfast? Where do you go after you get ready? What activities are you doing when you come back from school, etc., etc. You make a schedule of the things you do in a typical day, time to time. So, does someone want to do it? Again, in the first person. So, when I go to school, when it's school day, I wake up every day at 7 o'clock. My mother wakes me up, and I'm having she takes me to have breakfast. She has prepared already my breakfast. Usually it's milk, cereals, maybe an egg if I'm very hungry. And I'm living with my father, and he brings me to school by car. Does someone want to continue?
I stay at school until 4 o'clock.
Do I like my teacher?
Yes, says. Do I like my teacher?
Most of them.
Do I have friends?
No teacher answers that. Do I have friends in school?
Many.
Many. What do I play with my friends in the yard?
Hide and seek.
Yes.
Hide and seek.
Football.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can talk about my favorite subjects, my friends, or a teacher I don't like. Evgenia says yes.
Okay.
They taste me and I taste them.
Yes. So I laugh a lot with my friends. I'm having a good time. At school, I learn many things, even if I'm bored sometimes. And after, my mother is taking me from school. And where do we go?
Home.
I have after school activities. I like to
Mm-hmm.
play soccer.
Yes.
And that's my favorite after school activity.
But my mother wants also for me to learn to play the piano. And also I have to do some English lessons, or some, I don't know, another foreign language, etc., etc. Okay? So when you have done this, you can do it time to time, like a schedule. And now we can do the same for the child we were talking about before. I forgot his name. I'm a very bad teacher.
Hamid.
Hamid.
Aha.
So, what is the daily routine of Hamid? So we have to choose, of course. Is it at the camp? Yes, let's do it at the camp. So I wake up very early because we are living we are the 10 of us in a container, so it's very difficult for me to sleep anyway. The first who wakes up wakes everyone else. They bring us some breakfast, so I don't choose. I eat what they offer me. What else? Who wants to continue?
Sometimes we have a teacher come in and do some work with us, do some English work with us. Sometimes
arts workshops.
Right. Sometimes we.
But most of the times I get bored.
Sylvie says.
I can't go out of the camp. So sometimes I don't have anything to do.
But I also play with the other children in the camp. There are a lot of children.
Of course.
There's no lights there's no windows in the building, so I spend most of my day outside.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's very cold, I prefer to be outside. Okay. So
the idea is to show us is this an activity for the children to be able to walk into those children's shoes? Is this the purpose of this activity?
Exactly. That we have to step into the child's shoes and think about the things they couldn't do, the things they would have to do differently, and how different their life in school, in their family, their safety, their free time would be. Very different. So now, the two activities we did on the refugee and empathy are a great jumping off point to start a discussion with your students about human rights, and more specifically, the rights of our children. This convention on the rights of the child was adopted in 1989, and it's really the most important document on children's rights. And it's really an incredible tool for every film you are organizing a film analysis, because all the themes are in this convention, and we can talk about the right of the child with every film. You will do a film analysis session or a film education. As Irini said before, you will find much more resources and material in the educational kit that you will receive tomorrow. I would like to thank you for listening to me. I hope that it was useful for you, and I hope that you will do it in your classroom. And now we can have some question or something you want to discuss, some remarks, anything you want.
Yeah, it's Ben here. Just one question. If I wanted to share that film with my students, is that link live constantly?
Exactly. So, yeah, I was about to comment on that. The film is available and has subtitles for other languages, in English, in Spanish, in Greek, until the 29th of May. So for the following 10 days, you can use it to share with your students and be able to work on it. But the methodology itself, coming with the education pack, can help you work around films, short films, anyhow, like on how to structure it, the before, during, and after. So these films are going to be online for the next 10 days, and you have access in all the respective countries, Spain, Greece, the UK, Poland, Belgium. And we encourage you actually to use this in these times. It's a nice way to convey messages for inclusion, but also to talk with your students about when they will come back at school or how they picture this. You can also check the other two films. It's In My Friend's Shoes and Everybody Else Is Taken. They're slightly for older ages, yes, but maybe some of you are you have students of older ages as well. No, Eugenie asks whether you have the right to download them. Unfortunately not. This is the whole idea. We have got access rights from directors until the 29th of May. No, after the 29th of May, it won't be available. It will not be open access. The film won't be open access. So Athena is asking, how are we supposed to introduce the film in a multicultural classroom in which refugee students participate? It seems to me that there is no problem, but is there anything special we should focus on?
I think Katya has already mentioned that
yes,
during the
and I have lived it also.
Oh, you have experienced it,
yes,
right? We have experienced it.
Because,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. No, go, and I will talk about my experience after.
Since the main theme of this film, as Katya mentioned already, is the meeting, is the encounter, and it's the communication and what takes place, as Ben already said, the stages of friendship, the way it is developed. In a multicultural classroom, the main focus is there. This is already happening. It's a reflection of what is happening in the classroom already. So I find this I think it will be very interesting to work on this film with your students, since it's reflecting their reality as well. So maybe I wouldn't focus so much on traumatic experiences or on the refugee experience, because this is not the main point of the film. This work that we have done, it's background work, it's work that you can do in your classroom. But basically, I would say focus on the main theme of the film. This is just my advice. We've seen it with Katya in a classroom like that. Make sure you focus on the meeting, on the encounter, on the things we have in common. Remember that this is Inclusion Week, and this webinar is all about inclusion, and the idea is to focus on what Katya already said. What we have in common is far more than than our differences. I'm sorry, I took too long answering that question. I'm sorry.
It has happened to me because once we were watching a film with different classes, and a class came we have in Greece multicultural classes. And they came to watch it. And at the end, when we were discussing the film, one teacher told me, you know, we have a student who were at this camp, this particular camp, because it's not the biggest of Lesbos. We have Moira, and we have another camp, and it's in that camp. And I was really, I was really moved by this, and I didn't know how to, so I came and I asked him if he wanted to talk about the camp. And he said to me, no, I don't want to talk about the camp, but I would really want to talk about the friendship of those two boys with the boys of the camp. So it was about, he wanted to talk about the theme, about the friendship. And he wasn't so interested in talking about his own experience.
That's interesting. That's sweet, because yeah, many times we make, let's say, presumptions. Of course, we have to be very careful about child protection and how not to bring forward trauma, and I assume this is worrisome for many teachers. But at the same time, we make presumptions about what a child might think. Yeah, well, I've experienced that also in educational contexts, where we thought that we wouldn't need, we were very reluctant or skeptical to bring forward some issues, but the students were so much into expressing themselves, and as every other child or adolescent. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I remind you all, it's for the next 10 days that you can use the film online, and you will receive the educational kit that goes with a specific film. It will soon be also uploaded on the specific site that you watched the film from, and on our inclusiveschools.net side of the project. I'd like to thank you all. It was very nice to see that response in these times of overwhelming information, actually. I hope you will have the chance to work on these films and to take the methodology and adapt it to other contexts as well. I remind again to link it to the children to the rights of the children. According to the UN Convention, it's always a very useful tool. So I'd like to thank you all. Thank you for joining, and hopefully we will have also your feedback, maybe, of having used it with your students. Any highlights or any
it would be great.
Insights? That would be great. So thank you all. Have a nice afternoon, and hope to see you again.
Thank you.